All right, guys, welcome to another jam-packed episode of the Hyperformance podcast. Actually, no, it is jam-packed. It's just jam-packed with some content that probably about 30% of the listener base won't be a fan of. Today is a UFC preview. Is that a weird way to intro it? But we're just going to push on.
No, that's what
anyway.
it is.
It is what it is. I would say 70% of our listener base are UFC pigs, just like us, keeping up with every single card that drops. And then the rest are just like, I thought this was an S&C/fitness show. What the fuck is this about? But it just is. This is the High Performance podcast. So what are we breaking down today? It's UFC 300 speculations and then just...
So there's a few things to talk about. First of all, Whitaker versus Costa has been announced.
Huge.
And so when was that announced for the 298? Is it 298 or 299 where Volkanovski's defending?
Off the top of my head, it's 299 this is happening at, but I could be wrong. I'll just double check now.
It's on bring up the UFC calendar because what's 299?
I can have a look for you. UFC 299.
299 is Sean O'Malley versus Marlon Vera.
Oh, right.
That's right. I fully suppressed that card down. We've got a pretty smooth run then into UFC 300. I could not for the life of me remember that because I think I might have been cooking up Sean O'Malley matchups for my Dream 300 card.
Not to scare the viewers, but on Google, it says main event, Yuri Prohaska and Rakic. But I guess that's just Google's automated sort of way of just adding in the fights that way. It's not actually the main event, but
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
The way Dana was talking some really, I wouldn't say he was talking some gnarly shit, but he seemed to be suggesting it's going to be big.
Wasn't Rakic versus Jiri going on 300, or is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that they're on Google. It says that's just the main event.
Highest profile announced fight so
far. Oh, right. Okay.
So that makes sense. Sorry, I thought you were saying that was on 299 or something.
No.
That's definitely why that's quite up there.
Whitaker versus Costa is on 298.
Dude, 298 is fucking stacked. Can someone read us through the full main card?
Yeah, I got it up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we got main event. We got Volk versus Topuria. And then we got Cejudo versus, I don't know how to pronounce the last name. Sorry, UFC fans.
Dardashvili.
Wow.
Dardashvili? I think it's the V's are meant to sound a little bit like a W. Anyway, keep going.
And then we got the Aussie Tai Tuivasa and Marcin Tybura. And then we got...
That's only interesting because it's a heavyweight fight with Bam Bam. Fucking who gives a fuck about Tybura? But
I don't know who the fuck that is. And then we got Tatiana Suarez, 11-0 versus Amanda Lemos.
Nice. That'd be huge. Gearing up. Putting her in position to get a title shot next.
What a beast. Anthony Hernandez versus Ikram Askarov.
Nice.
At least Askarov. Justin Taffa, Aussie.
Yep. No... Taffa
he trains
Samoan via New Zealand. Correct.
Okay.
Are they Sydney boys now? Definitely Samoan.
Yeah. Versus Marcos Rogerio de Lima. Never heard of him.
Yeah.
And then I'm guessing we're getting into who territory, like who are these guys past here. But
from memory, there was some pretty hectic things on the prelims as well. But then it was just sort of as you were rounding out that main card, I was like, maybe I got confused.
Paul Costa and Robert Whitaker is this low?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
What the fuck? Wait,
I
Ian Gary, I think I'm reading it in the wrong sort of order. That's why. Yeah, I'm just reading it off Google.
Yeah, there is a chance that because these things haven't been added all that recently that they got added quite recently that they haven't quite worked out the ranking, because I imagine Costa versus Whitaker will be like surely
it's got to be a co-main.
They probably take it over Cejudo, right?
Oh, Cejudo versus Merab Dardashvili. So that is for sure like a title contender eliminator.
Oh no, it was,
and just based off what I like, how they normally stack the heavier guys ahead. Like Whitaker versus Costa is probably both of them 2 wins away from a title shot, speaking sort of optimistically. But I think just being 30 pounds heavier, I think that gives them the edge. Oh, but then again, Cejudo was double champ. UFC loves disrespecting little guys. This is actually, what do you reckon? On this topic.
I think, gosh, such a tricky one. Hey, they're like two polar opposites of relevancy. Um, yeah, because I almost want to say that like Tai Tuivasa is like arguably a bigger deal. than
No,
both
but
those
it's
guys.
because
who?
he, again, is at least like three fights at least away from a title shot. I know what you mean because you're following my same line of logic. I'm like, oh, they just love the heavier the weight class, the more automatically it just gets pushed up the card. And I see that, but I just think that
Well,
in terms of
yeah.
title picture relevancy, they're both quite a ways away.
I think, yeah, I mean, I also think this is also really interesting to me because, and this might be a really dumb way of looking at it, but this is it's either in Vegas or California, right?
This isn't. It says the Honda Center Anaheim.
Yeah, okay, that's California.
Yeah, LA.
I feel like it's really weird that it's so like non-American heavy, like at the top end, because like Cejudo's not American, right?
He is. Oh, he fights under US.
He's an American hero.
Oh, I thought he was Mexican or something.
No, because he's a gold medalist in freestyle wrestling, so Americans love him.
Oh, okay. Maybe I just.
I mean, since Gable Stevenson went out and won the heavyweight gold, again, I think people are like, fucking Henry who? But yeah, Cejudo, I think, was like quite a big deal in the USA off the back of that gold medal.
Okay, in
Because
which
I
case,
think I think
say
he's one of their
Cejudo.
youngest Olympic gold medalists ever as well. I'm pretty sure he won that like freshly out of high school.
Okay, I'm gonna say that Cejudo is the co-main then. Yeah, I think that makes sense. And surely they're thinking that because surely they're hoping Cejudo wins, because there's a lot of rumors about Aljamain fighting on UFC 300. So surely they're hoping that they both win, and then they can, like maybe have them rematch, and the winner gets a title shot or something.
At the
Wait,
winner
who
out of
rematched?
Sterling and oh no,
Wait, didn't Aljamain fight Cejudo already?
No.
Who did Cejudo fight?
wait, so Cejudo's never fought Sterling?
Man, they did. Sorry, they did. But there's no interest in that rematch. It was a pretty boring fight. It was like highly technical and it was close. But I don't think anyone's interested in that rematch. Sorry, you are right. Aljamain
I just
absolutely
mean,
defended his belt against Cejudo.
Yeah.
That was Cejudo's big comeback.
I more just mean like, say Cejudo and Aljamain both win. Do one of them just get a title shot next, assuming that O'Malley wins?
When's Aljamain fighting?
Yeah, because I think people would be
300.
pretty keen to see Sean O'Malley versus Cejudo. Like, I think that's an entertaining fight.
Yeah.
I think that's a bloody hard fight for Cejudo. Like the reach disadvantage he's dealing with
reach.
there. Yeah. And like
Yeah,
Sean
think of that.
O'Malley, his footwork is really good. And I think footwork is something that people just generally underestimate in terms of what it does for your wrestling defense. Because so much of it, it's the same as Izzy. Like people talk shit about his wrestling ability, but based because his striking and associated footwork is so good, it leads to people taking worse or less reliable or lower percentage takedown attempts. And then that opens up counters and things like that. So Sean O'Malley, like it was his footwork that got the job done against Aljamain Sterling. He was just at such a frustrating distance from, yes, a striking perspective, but then also just being able to stay like, oh, yeah, I could probably shoot a takedown from here, but like, oh, really got to do it from a long way away. And it just gives him that little bit of extra time to make a read and get a good counter on it. Or actually step out of the way and avoid the takedown overall. And I think Aljamain is so much bigger and so much faster at covering distance than even Cejudo is. Like Cejudo, obviously like very athletic, can move quick, but he just is very, very small. So he's, man.
Wow, I didn't
Rough
know
on
that distance probably one of the most underrated features of being a good fighter. Than maintaining the distance or playing to your distance.
It's just because it's subtle. Like your footwork never knocks him out. Your footwork never takes him down, but it absolutely is the thing that sets up all.
It's sort of the gateway to everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think as well, the reason why Whitaker and who is it, Costa is not around here, because it's not even on the UFC page. I think because it's like, is it still yet to be confirmed or is it confirmed?
Pretty sure it's confirmed.
Yeah, because it's nowhere to be seen on the main page on UFC too.
I went looking for it before I put it in the run sheet because we already discussed the possibility a while ago. So I only put it on here because I can't remember where I saw it, but I went looking for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've asked to put it on the run sheet numerous times, and I've told you to take it off because I'm like, Whitaker said that fight is never happening. Like, he'll never entertain it. It's just too unreliable. Doesn't want to go through a whole fight camp just to find out that he's not getting paid because Costa's pulled out. But be really curious to see what that conversation was like. Or is it just that Whitaker has changed his tone after losing to DDP? Because realistically, if he beat DDP, he'd probably be going next for the title shot against Strickland. Oh, he definitely would have got the next title shot versus Strickland because he's basically the Max Holloway, or was until he lost, the Max Holloway of the middleweight division.
Whitaker versus Strickland, that would have been a cool fight.
Fucking Whitaker and fucking destroy.
Really?
It's on Whitaker's Instagram.
Oh, okay.
Crazy.
Wait, where are we all at with the Strickland fucking DDP thing?
Are we referring to the comments made at the press conference?
A little bit of everything. So did you see them like fucking getting like throwing punches and shit at UFC? Was it 296?
Are we going to go conspiracy theorist angle? Did Dana White do that on purpose? He admitted that he was in charge of the seating.
Yeah, he's said on several podcasts that he's in charge every single time of, I don't know how many rows down, but all the seating in all those rows down. And like, he sort of made it a big deal and saying, if you're seating in these rows, you're something special, something like that. So I'm guessing that was definitely a WWE sort of marketing.
I'm honestly at the point where I'm like, did Dana White publicly assault his wife on purpose the week Power Slap was launching? Like, that I've just gone full like, oh, all of this is just promotion.
Just nowadays. Pure, just chest moves. Everything in his life is just
insane. And it was
all
more
business.
But I thought he was so calculated. Well, and obviously that is calculated in a certain sense, sitting DDP and Strickland that close together. But then another perspective, like, he's pretending that he really dropped the ball. And I'm like, man, it's like as if you weren't processing that. Like, it just seems like Dana White is way too detail oriented to miss something like that.
I mean, on the other hand, though, I'm like, surely he's got bigger fucking things to worry about than like whether two fighters are going to have a fight. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, the whole place must be full of cancer. He's like, oh God, you might just fight a fucking security guard if he looks at you the wrong way.
Yeah, good point. I guess there is just this thing of like, if you're worried about Strickland getting in a fight, would you have him anywhere in your venue whatsoever? There is that thing. He's just as likely to fight DDP as he is like the guy pulling beers.
Yeah, it's like you might as well have it next to someone that actually fits the storyline and can get clips and views.
It's like, all right, DDP can handle this assault. Let's just put him in there.
I reckon Dana is more concerned with like where civilians, so to speak, are sitting. Like, I just reckon he's trying to make sure that Trump doesn't get in a fucking fight with Strickland, or like, John Mayer doesn't get in a fight with DDP or whatever, like, I reckon he's trying to just like spread that out a little bit.
But
yeah, because did you see when he canceled that Neon guy's tickets? Where I don't even know what this. I feel like an old man. What's this Neon guy about?
Oh God. Okay. So being a boomer, I mean,
is he just king of the incels?
A big Gen Z guy. This guy, I think, is a bit of an industry plant. He's this talentless live streamer that goes live on this platform, Kick, this new alternate platform. Then Twitch gets 90-10 split, ran by an Australian. Anyway, little backstory there.
Just where you go when you want to say the N word a lot.
Yeah, just want to drop a bunch of slurs and still get paid. So, this guy live streams a lot. He's mainly put on podcasts because he's this little virgin nerd guy that is getting thrown around LA, getting put in all these places with all these rappers and celebrities. And it's just really funny to sort of see. It's sort of a bit of a laughing at him situation where you get to see him sort of how someone like this acts in these environments. And he also got caught up with this OnlyFans model that is sort of using him. It's the narrative behind it for clout, to promote her OnlyFans, but they're actually boyfriend and girlfriend, because when people look at them, it's like, there's no way this guy scored this chick sort of thing.
Oh, so
way out of the league. Yeah, sort of that thing. And then people are sort of harping on about, hey, she's using you for your clout. And that's what the whole thing about him is. But that's a little backstory. And he gets denied from every place because he's just not a good look, I guess.
Yeah, because it was just heaps funny. He was like, I'm going to go after Trump and I'm just going to talk my shit. And then the next minute he's like, oh, I can't get in the venue. Yeah. It's like, what did you think was going to happen? Like, dude, you see fucking president. And like, I still don't understand how that's, it's like, do you know how many people are going up to Trump telling him to get fucked on a daily basis? He'd be like, who the fuck's this guy? Just like random complainer number 100,000,005.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. It's
no fucking doubt.
It's yeah, I feel like the people, like the more the degenerate people that are online social media, they're slowly making their way up to sort of the big guys like Donald Trump in the most weirdest ways possible. So it's going to happen eventually, and it's going to be
actually
like
interesting because there is just more and more of these characters every month. Because there's like the Sneeko guy. I know the Sneeko guy is not new, but like again, one of those sort of like alt-right-ish, trying to offend everyone, edgelords. You got Tate.
Yeah, it's sort of an absolute just floodgate of people opened after Andrew Tate. I feel like when it comes to sort of this type of content.
It's like new archetype, incel influencer.
Yeah,
to be fair, like there's always going to be such a market for those because like everyone understands how frustrated young men are just perpetually.
Oh no, they're speaking to so many people behind the screen, so you definitely get more clicks that way. But yeah, there's and it's a lot of abrasive and very harsh comments. But yeah, little sidetrack there. But that's the whole situation with that seeding thing with Neon.
Interesting. So anyway, it's was that round one? No, I guess it was round two to Strickland because going back to the press conference, which we kind of need to address, I feel like round one kind of went to DDP. Not that he really ripped it. Well, sorry.
I thought this was
what really, DDP said was really me.
I thought this was a bit hectic because so basically, so we all know what happened initially, right? Like DDP said a bunch of stuff to Strickland, basically like taking the piss out of him for getting abused as a kid, right?
Yes.
That's essentially what happened here. And then did you see Strickland's response? Like his social media response before the whole podcast thing?
No.
It's on the run sheet if you have a look now. Like strangely eloquent, like strangely like wow, Strickland, way to be like
the bigger man sort of thing,
like a bigger person, and just way to be like I to say Strickland to me came across as very like honorable and like, which is never a word I thought I would fucking use about Sean Strickland. Do you know what I mean?
I think I agree with Sean Strickland's perspective in the sense that like, you know, a lot of people have been abused and that can make you feel really isolated and like no one understands you. And then seeing someone who's a public figure, who's celebrated, who's been through those sorts of things, like that can make you feel like less alone and give you a really good role model. It's just that Strickland goes out of his way to make so many different demographics of people feel so bad. It was weird to take it for him to take this like offended turn. It was similar to when Tyler, the Creator, got offended over something Taylor Swift did. And it's like, don't you kind of just go out of your way to offend people on purpose? And then it's interesting because again, in isolation, like that interaction in isolation, I 100% see where Strickland's coming from, but it's also like, just go a bit soft. Get a little bit PT, because I thought his whole shtick was like, oh yeah, I got abused, but oh no, it didn't affect me.
Pop it on the chin, sort of.
Even though, like obviously, as outside observers, we see how it's affected him, but I thought his whole understanding was like, no, it didn't affect me. I just
man up,
live my life in fight or flight mode, you know?
Yeah, it is a bit weird. But I don't know, it was that way where like, I guess I was just a little bit like, maybe because he's now champion, I guess this is probably the first time he's ever really had the ability to sit there and be like, well, come and get it. You know, like I guess he's always kind of been like punching up before and been a bit like,
good point. Good point.
You've got to be a bit like, I got to sell the tickets here because I'm not the big dog and I'm trying to be the big dog. And now this is maybe the first time someone's trying to get like the mental edge over him. And he's a bit like, well, I don't really have to. Like, I actually also now have a bigger platform. I'm the champion. I can kind of come out and like talk about people that have been abused and just kind of be like, yeah, it's actually not okay to do that.
He
like,
does have to completely psychologically reorient himself, because I think you nailed it. Like his whole thing, he's been positioning himself as like the underdog sort of the whole time and just be like, oh, I'm just a bit of trailer trash. No one expects anything out of me. And then all of a sudden it's like, you just destroyed one of the greatest strikers we've ever seen for 5 rounds straight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think he actually like PR sort of prepared to be champ? Not PR. You don't need to do that by PR.
Well, I think he's just as confused about it as we are. Because even going into fight week, even he had an energy when he was in Australia for fight week, doing all the press and stuff like that. Like, sick, got a trip to Australia, gonna get paid a lot. I love staying active. Like, there wasn't even a bit of him who like, and this is what I'm gonna do to him in the ring. Like, he was saying, he was like, I'm gonna get in there and have a go. But I felt like even his attitude was just like, oh, this could be a bit rough, could get knocked out here. But like, not that he gives a fuck about that. All of a sudden, just finds himself as champ. Even in the last round, I think there was a bit of Strickland that was like, it almost felt like it was too easy. Like, is this real? And he was just like, sort of just give me something.
So because he was sort of yelling at him at the last sort of 30 seconds, like, come on, man, you fucking.
I also just feel like, and again, maybe this isn't fair to Strickland, but like, I feel like he must be sitting there just like, oh, please don't let Pereira come back. Please don't let him come back. I just feel like if Dana lets Pereira fight at fucking middleweight again, like I just feel like Strickland knows.
Yeah, he's sort of defeated before.
He knocked him out in like the first round.
He did, but
in crazy fashion too. That was such a crazy left hook.
Was that as inevitable? Like, it's because it's sort of just confirmation bias because Pereira did knock him out, but Pereira's been in there with guys that he hasn't knocked out. Like, if Strickland had a good night of defense, like how many times when he did fight Pereira, how many times did he really drop his defense for a split second? Sorry, and this is the thing, Strickland has leveled up quite a bit since that fight.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess you could say that, yeah.
His feet aren't completely square. There's a little bit more movement happening now. He seems defensively sound, or is it just recency bias? Again, last few fights just had a bit better luck.
But you got to also
discern signal from noise with fighter performances.
You got to also see what Pereira's doing as well, because like, would you say he's improved?
In a certain sense, yeah. Okay, no, good point. Okay, yeah. Who's on the steeper learning curve here?
Yeah,
you would have to assume Pereira. You'd have to,
because he's fighting new weight. Yeah,
Pereira's just so big, like he's fucking huge, man. Like he's one of those dudes who, like, I think, like, even when I was watching him against Jan, man, he's just a big guy.
Jan and Yuri are big light heavyweights, and he's a little bit bigger than him.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like Pereira, like just his general size, like just
it's crazy.
Size and like just I don't know, just like that whole thing where, like, I think it's, this is gonna sound really dumb, but I think when you watch these guys on the TV, you don't really get like a feel for like quite how big they are. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same deal when, like, you know, when you watch people on stage and then you don't actually ever really think about how tall or big these people are.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Same thing. Like,
if you had to, there was no explanation required. Like, if you were introducing someone to the sport of mixed martial arts, if the first fight you showed them, and just as it was happening live, was Yuri versus Pereira, you don't have to be like, oh, I know this guy doesn't look like much, but you should see him, you know, once he starts doing his moves. Like, both of those guys' physiques just scream like, I can throw down. I'm hyper athletic, I'm big, I'm still in shape. Like, it's just, I was very horny going into that fight.
No, absolutely. But yeah, so either way, after all that Strickland stuff, he then pretty much just 180'd on it and was like, I need to do some more bad for the world. I've been too positive a force for the world right now. I need to come and, you know, like, negatively impact on a lot of people. And then he said this shit about the Theo Von podcast.
I think that's the brand he needs to lean into. I think that's the only way to reconcile and help the public make sense of this persona and like what it's developing into. It's not about the heel arc and then going babyface. If I was him, I would just lean into being unhinged. As in, I might be hyper positive one day. I might go punch out a lady in the street some other day. You just don't know what you're going to get. It's
like an emotional roller coaster.
I think that's what he should sort of lean into, because it's the easiest way to sort of just encapsulate and take advantage of all the various things that he's putting out there. Because I feel like a hypocrite, because as much as I thought he went a bit soft when DDP was talking the shit about his dad abusing him, I actually really liked when Strickland, I think it was on his own YouTube channel, he sort of just did like a 20-minute catch up. Maybe Chris Curtis, his training partner, it might have been on his podcast, but he just sort of went on a chat about, all these people, they sort of fighters in the working class, not making that much money. Then all of a sudden they become champ. They got all this money and their fan base is paying more attention to them than ever. And they're just living this lavish lifestyle, always got new cars and stuff like that. And again, always just making their following look up to things that he's like, that's not what life's about. Having a new car or having a massive house is just like, it's just about being a good person. He's like, I want to show people that, just because I got more money now, it doesn't change my car. It doesn't change my life, because those aren't the things that are important. I was like, fuck, like that was just 100% good shit. Like there was no weird twist at the end with any bullshit ideology or trauma attached to it. I was just like, yeah, he just wants to be relatable to his fans, but like, I don't know. We'll see if he ends up in the private jet or anything like that. But I
can't see that happening.
He seems like the kind of guy who would like stick by it.
Yeah, we'll just see. Like I think his I don't know. It's that way with Strickland, where I think for a long time I thought it was maybe a bit of a Colby Covington angle. Like it seemed like a little bit of a
USA. So
yeah, like a bit of a MAGA thing just to make him stand out a bit. But I don't know. The more it goes on, the more I'm like, I'm just not sure.
You can't even get to Colby Covington's level at this point. Like
that shtick's done, because you got to win fights. If you've got a big shtick, you need to be winning fights. But let's sum this thing whole up with who do you think's going to win, DDP or Strickland?
I definitely think DDP. That's just my opinion. Just a more just violent fighter.
I'm so stuck, but I think if you trust the narrative about his gas tank and the nose surgery, so DDP fights like a little bit of a lunatic and then gasses out, but everyone's saying that his camp saying he's capable of maintaining that lunatic energy for 3 to 5 rounds now that he's had his nose surgery. I mean, have we only seen the Whitaker fight since the nose surgery?
Who else does he fight that's pretty big?
It didn't go that deep. He fought, oh God, who's the Derek Brunson? He fought him. Fought a bunch of no names outside of the top 10. He fought Darren Till.
Darren Till.
Honestly, a lot of the people he was fighting on the come up, like Brunson and then Till, like the Till fight was a hard fight for him. And how good is Till? It's so hard to evaluate because he was on such a slide. But then he beat Whitaker. Like the Whitaker thing solidified didn't solidify. It completely changed the conversation around DDP. Because people are like, he just fights like a lunatic and gets lucky somehow every time. But then, I don't want to say dismissed.
Would you say it was a bit more calculated, that fight?
A little bit. Oh. But then also, it was still like trademark Drickus sort of shit.
Just swinging.
A little bit chaotic. Yeah, just talking through it, I'm unsure what Strickland's advantages over him are, because I feel like Strickland does really well against... Oh, no, he does do well against people who come out swinging.
Does he? Oh, okay. Yeah.
But DDP seems like he's got like an extra 10%. Like he's a special one of those, and he might be capable. Like, I don't know if Strickland can withstand that first round with him.
Yeah, because that's going to be so aggressive.
Because once you drop someone, even if you don't finish them, it sort of seems like a lot of people struggle to fully recover from that sort of stuff. So leaning towards DDP, but honestly, really hard to make a pick with that one.
Can I say something just to add on to mine? Sorry, Harvey.
Yeah.
I don't see a world where Strickland drops DDP. I don't know. I either think Strickland wins by decision or nothing else.
Did you see a world where he drops Izzy?
Finish.
Okay.
Finish.
No, fair enough.
Finishes. Yeah. Because even then, I was like, fuck, you caught him so clean. Like, that would drop a lot of people. It's not Izzy's chin.
That was a very uncharacteristic Izzy punch. I think Izzy was just like, is this reality? No, I'm better than this guy. And he just winged one, was like,
yeah,
sure, man, I can't get it. He did seem very open. And like I said,
it was like from there. Yeah, he had his whole,
It
He was
from
so
his
wide.
hip, and it was just on this giant like protractor arc.
Yeah, he was so wide. You could
I mean,
fucking
I'm sitting
park
there
a
watching
plane
it
in
in
between his
slow-mo,
chest.
but yeah, someone like Strickland, it's just like, fuck, that opening was just there.
That whole fight though, like again, I don't know, and I think like none of this really matters in the grand scheme of things, but I don't know. I do remember thinking at the time, because do you remember the whole Adesanya DDP thing? Like, and even like at the time, I was kind of like, rad, like this, like, and everyone was kind of like, yeah, I think Izzy was really drunk, and he might have been, but I just remember feeling like Izzy just looked like he was putting it on. He just looked kind of off.
No, but he has those cringe moments, and he was also
When he
very
walked
drunk.
into the ring, yeah.
There was just something about it. There was just something where I was just a bit like, this doesn't seem like you. Like you are like kind of cool in the face of people that are a bit kind of hectic. I don't know. I just like, I couldn't tell you what it was. I just looked at him and I was just like, something's not right here.
Yeah, it was a
And
bit
don't
like,
You remember the
"Someone
frozen
please
like
take the
Elsa
mic."
comment in the Pereira lead up?
The what? Sorry.
Like Izzy had some cringe line about like, oh, I'm gonna leave you frozen like Elsa or something like he just has moments where he doesn't land.
No,
Nah.
sure, but this wasn't even not landing. Like there was something about me looking at him and being like, "You're not right." Like
Yeah,
he
he
was
was
there
definitely
drunk.
I don't know, but
slamming
all I'm
those
saying,
Modelos.
is when you put that next to, like like to me, it looked like he was trying to make himself like get up for the fight. Do you know what I mean? Like
Okay.
it looked like he was faking it, and I don't know. It's just like and I think between that and then when he went in and lost to Strickland, I think off the back as well of like beating Pereira and like literally overcoming the one thing that had always haunted his career. I just feel like Adesanya might have lost to anyone. Like I just think he wasn't, and then taking the time off afterwards as well. Like I don't know, and like we'll never really know. But I just feel like, I just feel like he wasn't himself.
Yeah.
And
Are you talking about the Strickland fight?
yeah.
Yeah, I 100% agree. After I finished the fight, I was like, this is definitely a case of Izzy didn't come to fight today. 100%.
Yeah.
Not
And I think
discrediting
he-
Strickland at all, but
No, I think
that was
something
his-
was up with him, and he like. I'm not saying he shouldn't have taken the fight, but I just feel like, yeah, I feel like he would have lost to just about anyone.
But I think that all of these narratives can coexist. Sorry, Simon, because I still disagree with that on the night with the DDP interaction. Like my explanation of that is he got caught up in literally just having a good time at the UFC and then didn't have enough time to ship, was drunk already. And he's like, oh, I've got to go into the ring and do a face off. And he's like, oh, what do I say? What do I say? Oh, the the whole apartheid colonialism. Yeah, that's pretty red hot. And he just sort of had an awkward moment in there. But I also think that Izzy did have an off night. For whatever reason it was the hype getting too much to him? Is he not living the warrior lifestyle like he should? Is he out partying and just traveling around and being too much of a rock star? But I also think even when you have someone as special as Izzy, and even when you have someone who's looked at as a bit of a journeyman until he got the belt as Sean Strickland, if it happens at the same time where Izzy's having an off night and Sean's having the night of his life, because Sean was on defensively. He was so in sync, listening to his coach's calls and everything like that. And I think it was the combination of those two things. Strickland having the night of his life, Izzy being a little bit off, and just the space that opened up with them moving in different directions was enough for Sean to win 5 rounds.
It was a combo. It was a combo effect for sure. Like it wasn't just one thing.
And what speaks to how hectic it was is we've seen so many fights with people being like, oh, late stoppage, late. It's like that should have been a stoppage in round 1. I think how many unanswered shots was it? And some of them were hard as fuck. Like, I think the only reason the ref didn't step in is they were like, is this happening? And like, by the time he was like, oh, this is happening, Izzy had recovered to the point where he's like, oh, I can let this go on. But
and he chucked him a thumbs up.
After the weird bit. Oh, Izzy was fully in trauma response at that point. Be like, please don't end it, please, thumbs up, thumbs up. Like, yeah.
Because I reckon he definitely had flashbacks to the Pereira moment where he was like, fuck. And I reckon the entire time he was like, fuck, I should have let the refs know somehow. And then as soon as he definitely felt where he was with Pereira when he was up against the cage. He was like, fuck, thumbs up, what, fuck. Yeah. But we didn't get your pick, Harvey.
Oh man, I'm so 50-50 on this one. Like, it's funny. I want to say DDP. Like, that's my initial reaction. But part of me is like, give Strickland the benefit of the doubt. Like, in that he's the champ now. And also, yeah, just looking at DDP's record, it's like, again, this might not sound like it counts for much, but at this stage, I'm like, Strickland, yeah, he lost to Pereira, but Strickland's fought the two best guys in the division by quite a long way. Like, DDP has not. I'm like, Strickland's got experience in there with the best of the best. And you look at DDP's.
You did beat Whitaker.
Sorry?
You did beat Whitaker.
Are you giving Whitaker all that,
sorry
that
to
credit?
be this guy. I'm like, where does Whitaker stack in that?
Yeah, that's a bit me.
No, he is, because Whitaker, I'm telling you, Whitaker was the Max Holloway of that division.
Was.
What? No, was. But like, you know what changed it was DDP beating him. Like,
Really? He wasn't on a down fall before that?
No.
Wait,
He'd only lost to Izzy. Izzy's the only one who can beat him in that division up until that moment. And then all of a sudden we're asking ourselves, again, there's always so many questions that come out simultaneously on both sides of these sorts of fights. It's like, was DDP not getting the credit he deserves, or has Whitaker finally got old? Because Whitaker's not that old in terms of like his chronological age, but he does have a lot of fight miles on him. Similar to someone like Holloway. Like when Holloway shows any sort of, negative sort of progress or regression, people are like, oh, he's absolutely done just because he's got so many fight miles. But then, and again, it's if he loses to Costa, I think that will be more the conversation. Like, oh, Whitaker's getting old; it's starting to catch up to him. Oh. So, and I'm willing to entertain that as well. But, or I just wonder, is Whitaker as good as he ever was, relatively speaking, and DDP gets his nose fixed up, and he's just a fucking problem. But just for the odds, so it's $1.70 for Strickland, $2 for DDP.
Yeah,
$1.70.
I'm gonna pick Strickland on the grounds that I think it's a tricky one. It's a real trick. I'm very 50-50 to be honest with you, but I'm gonna say Strickland on the grounds that I think Strickland is chronically underrated by myself, and it's probably about time I stopped underrating him so much.
See, the Abus Magomedov fight, like I was pretty high on Strickland after that. He dealt with, but then Abus Magomedov has gone on to lose his next fight in identical fashion, just coming out one round of haymakers and then just getting absolutely fed in the second round. But
is that?
But he's still a bit to handle in that first round.
Are you saying that Nurmagomedov like just came out swinging, like threw a lot of punches?
Magomedov. Yes, yeah, he did, yeah.
Is that not what you said DDP was going to do?
Yes, but I think DDP does that better than anyone else.
Sure, but we have seen evidence of.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, I'm taking Strickland over this. I think Strickland is. I think he's got enough rounds in there with like kind of like best that there is, that he'll be kind of calm and collected enough.
I wonder what the odds are for a knockout for DDP. I mean, some good value there, but
like $4?
Yeah.
DDP, I say this now, and it'll probably happen, but I can't see a world if DDP does win that he decisions Strickland. The only thing that would make me hesitant to bet on a knockout if you were high on a DDP victory is Dricus has a bit of an underrated ground game, and there's a small chance if the fight does go his way that he could submit him. Not even like an outright submission in terms of like, breaking his guard, working his way to mount, and then working on a submission, but just dropping Strickland with a huge shot and then just going for a submission.
Yeah, that's another
and
good one
he can't
too.
defend it. Like Dricus does seem like he would go to that sort of strategy. He won his original belt in a domestic organization in South Africa with the guillotine choke. But then again, that was a hyper aggressive fighter going for a takedown. And like, there's no way Strickland's initiating a takedown on DDP.
Actually, quick, cool backstory. I had this guy rock up to one of these group classes in Latrobe Uni, This connects somehow.
He was talking back in the warm up and you guillotined him.
No. And he was from South Africa, and he goes, "Yeah, I've been around the gyms that DDP sort of trains at, and my God, I've never seen someone with such a big physique move that fast in my entire life." I was like, "Oh, wow." And just like the way he hits, like people talk about like how like his punches just sting, his legs just sting. I mean,
Yeah,
but
he's got crazy power.
yeah, like something that people have never felt. Like that's the common thing that people say coming out their gym is like, fuck, man, like when you get hit by him, it just feels different, like some shit like that. But
Did you
Cool
see
little
the
story.
footage of that got released from back in the day before any of them were in the UFC? It was DDP, Adesanya, and Volkanovski sparring at Tiger Muay Thai. So as
Oh, wow.
Volkanovski was paired up with DDP, and like again, the Thai style of sparring, because they love sparring regularly, it is very much like play sparring, like so they weren't going too hard. But then there's just this moment where Izzy backs into DDP, like isn't paying attention to where he's going. I'm like, oh, I wonder, was that the first awkward interaction they had?
yeah, it's cool. Izzy has these sort of anime storylines, like
That's the best. It's the best. Like,
it's yeah,
call him
it's
cringe
crazy.
all you want, but he does such a service to the MMA community by providing these storylines, however intentional it is. But I really do think he tries his best to lean into the storyline.
Oh, you can definitely write a comic or two about his UFC career. It's pretty
there
cool.
will be a movie at some point about the Pereira series. There's no way. It's better than an anime.
Are we talking about a reenactment like a Rocky sort of, or like a Creed thing, or are you talking about just a
absolutely,
docu?
because you have the kickboxing arc, and then he just moves away. He's like, "No, I'm going to be an MMA champion," and then he follows him over on both sides. On both, you could make a movie on both sides.
We get that bar scene with Pereira in the bar.
Oh yeah, hell yeah! I'm so
Get me as
G'd up to
director.
watch that movie. I haven't screamed at a television like that in some time, both in MMA, Izzy Pereira 1 and 2, but particularly 2.
Oh, 2. Oh my God. I was with family and we were all jumping up and down like we just won $1 million.
Oh, just fucking insane.
Crazy stuff.
Anyway, let's start working our way down this card. So then we got, wait, is Costa and Whitaker, is that the co-main? No, that's on the Volkanovski.
No. We got
That's
Strickland
298.
versus
I actually
Duplessis.
don't know how much.
yeah, and it's pretty
like-
dead.
Yeah, I don't know how many other things they've got locked in for or like announced yet for 297.
Really?
Yeah,
That's crazy because they've just been stacking the absolute balls off 299 this week. It's like, why are you?
yeah. Well, they've got Raquel
a-
Pennington and
yeah.
Mayra Bueno Silva.
That's the title
Nice.
bout, yeah.
Um,
I don't know who these other guys are, if I'm being real.
that's all I can actually see on 297.
Oh, really? I have Neil Magny and Mike Mallet.
He's a Canadian guy. He's probably looking to get ranked out of this fight. He was on the last Canada card. I can't remember who he submitted. And he was actually pretty high on the card, but the last time Canada got screwed.
Yeah.
I'd back him. Hometown audience. He loves putting on a show for him.
We
He's
got
basic grappling.
here's someone I know, Dominic Reyes versus Carlos Ulberg.
But that's on the Strickland card.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's an exciting fight. Really exciting fight.
Ulberg's a heavy
Carlos is
fave too.
sexy. As he should be, but he's had some awkward losses.
Okay.
What was the gentleman who he fought like 3 fights ago, the guy from Africa, where Ulberg just threw the kitchen sink at him in the first round, but the guy just had the chin of the century. And Ulberg literally gassed himself out trying to finish him. I don't want to take a shot at making up and then pretending I know how to pronounce this guy's name.
So 3 fights ago.
There was a lot of consonants in a row and not many vowels.
Okay. My Google's not working. Did he lose that fight?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But it was a brutal loss. This guy from Africa literally Homer Simpson to the fight.
He hasn't lost a fight since Kennedy
In Zokawaju?
Yeah. This is in 2021.
Right. So it was a while ago. And yeah, what is he on a 4 or 5 fight winning streak now?
Yeah, he's three fight win streak because he hasn't fought in 2023 or this year.
I mean, Ulberg's sort of being everything we hoped Blood Diamond would be.
Let's jump into the UFC 300 actual announcements that have started. We can potentially talk the other rumors soon, but let's talk the actual ones that have been announced. So we have, is it Prochaska versus Rakic?
Huge fight. Fuck, I really like Rakic, but it was because the first Rakic fight I really paid attention to was his win over Jimmy Manawa, which is just one of my favorite knockouts. Just he like hit him with a nice straight punch and then just stepped through into a big like left head kick. And he just looked so athletic and he looked so powerful. Like he could cover so much distance in a split second. And then he just had a few real boring fights where he seemed real hesitant. And then there was one matchup. He had a really highly ranked matchup and then he blew out his MCL or ACL throwing a leg kick in like the first couple of seconds. Might have been against like Yarn or something like that. He was scheduled to fight. I just hope he goes back to that violent style that I was sort of introduced to when I first started paying attention to Rakic. But I think Yuri's got him. Based on what I have seen, Yuri's the better fighter.
Okay.
Oh, do we want odds? Oh, it's too far, I think.
Yeah, it's too far, but we'll like that's what I mean. When we're actually getting closer to UFC 300, we'll do like a proper episode about it. Okay, we've got Sterling versus Qatar or Qatar, however you say it.
It's another really hard one to pick. Someone moving up a division. I think he just backbacks Kata. I'm trying to think who Kata has gone against with like phenomenal grappling. And then again, Kata took down Zabit. And Zabit's no slouch on the ground. He's obviously known for his striking. And then again, that was a very gassed out Zabit. I think I'm going to pick Aljo here.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, me too.
I feel like I feel like Aljo. It's hard to pick, but I feel like Aljo kind of wants to. I think Aljo might have a bit of fire in himself to like kind of properly establish himself as like number two. You know what I mean? I'm not saying he's not number two, but I feel like he might want to be like, nah, cunts, I'm not going anywhere.
And everyone jerks it to Kata's striking, but it's like he really just has a nice straight 1-2, which don't get me wrong, puts you ahead of a lot of UFC fighters in terms of striking. But I just think it's overly romanticized, especially like we all saw him get absolutely fed by Max Holloway, who's obviously a phenomenal striker in his own right. But I just really think that he shouldn't have got outclassed the way he did. And it wasn't just gas tank, like it was purely on skill. So I think Aljo should be able to hang enough. So Kata is very susceptible to leg kicks, which again, Aljo doesn't throw a shit ton of leg kicks. So it is a really interesting and weird matchup, and it's hard to picture and imagine how it sort of plays out. But I'm just leaning towards Aljo just because he has more tools to finish.
Yeah. I also
which everyone knows I love.
As I could be wrong with this, but I swear, like just before he fought, before he lost the title, there was talks about everyone was kind of saying if he beats O'Malley, that he might well move up to the next weight class.
No, that was out of his mouth. He was like, if I win this, I'm moving up to 45. Yeah. And he's like, if I lose, I may stay around for a rematch.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I mean. I feel like he maybe like is going to stay at this weight class to get a win under his belt, you know, like kind of get back to winning ways. And then, but like, that's what I mean. I don't think he's down and out. I don't think he's lost the belt and is like, oh, there's nothing here for me anymore. I'm out of here. I think he's like still got goals. He's still hungry. And yeah, I'm going to pick him. Jacob, do you have any thoughts on that one?
I honestly don't know too much about the other guy, so
yeah.
I'm just gonna pick Aljo just based on what I've seen from him. But yeah, not really a good take from me.
I feel you. He's got better hair than the other guy, so that's enough. That's enough for me. Okay, and then we got Bo Nickel versus Cody Brundage.
I heard Cody Brundage has like a 4.8 star driver rating on Uber, but unfortunately that's not going to do much for him in the octagon against one of the greatest blue chip prospects we've ever seen in the history of the sport. That would be like if CM Punk knocked out Prime GSP.
Wow. great comparison.
So what I think it will be is another
Damn.
knockout. I think it's the kind of
quick.
person where Bo Nickel will feel comfortable going in there and letting their hands fly.
Right. So you think they've kind of done this as like it's UFC 300?
He's not a full-blown Uber driver, but he's a bit of an Uber driver.
I mean, he's won 10 fights. That's more than CM Punk ever did.
Yeah,
I can't believe CM Punk.
I am being harsh here. It's just that Bo Nickel is. I'm trying to think of another prospect we could compare him to, who's like as high a pedigree. And it'd be like Cejudo, but even Cejudo didn't seem to have like the physicality that Bo Nickel did in terms of like within his weight class. Because Cejudo like highly skilled, but he wasn't necessarily like manhandling people.
Yeah, right. Well, okay. Who win? No, that's probably not fair. Yeah, fuck it. All right, who wins, Nickel or Kamzat?
Whoa.
Nickel. That's something I have had on my
Nickel.
wish list for so long.
Wow.
Bo Nickel would ragdoll comes up.
Hectic.
You know what? I've personally come. Sammy if we're going on a bit of tangent here. I don't realize how good these jiu-jitsu guys are and wrestlers compared to like all these Sambo Russian guys. Because every time I talk to people that are pretty competent and stuff like this, they say like, let's use, who's the guy that does jiu-jitsu for the City Kickboxing guys? What's his name? That
Craig
Australian
Jones.
guy? Yeah. Like people like Craig Jones would dust up anyone in the fucking UFC on the ground. I'm like, oh, it's like that. So
Pretty much.
yeah,
He did.
I don't know.
See, yes and no. Like, so where those people are kind of speaking out of turn is I haven't seen Craig Jones do much combat jiu-jitsu. And combat jiu-jitsu isn't that big and it isn't that popular, but things do change quite a bit in grappling when you get punched in the face. Go talk to Gary Tonin about that. So Gary Tonin was like Gordon Ryan's primary training partner, and he was in 1FC and was in the middle of sinking in a leg lock, and the guy just knocked him out because Gary Tonin had two hands on his leg and his legs tied up, and the guy's like, I reckon I got about 3 seconds until my knee's in a really bad space. I'm just going to swing my fist at his head as hard as possible, and just knocked him the fuck out. And so
wow.
there are absolutely good grapplers who go in and apply the skill set and they can deal with the striking. It's just, it does complicate it.
Yeah,
But
right.
those people are right, Jacob, in the sense that like, you know, Devin Haney, we talk about how good Sean O'Malley's hands are, but it's nothing compared to Devin Haney.
Yeah, and they're just like, yeah, when you've actually dedicated your life to the craft, yeah, that makes sense. But it's just weird seeing how dominant these guys are in the UFC and go, nah, there's just overlords above them.
But yeah, Kamzat is not like a generational talent out of Dagestan. Is he from Dagestan originally? I know he was in Switzerland, but ethnically, is he Dagestani?
I think it was Sweden he was from, and then now,
Sweden.
yeah, I'm not too sure.
But yeah, he was a
It's so
migrant.
Yeah.
Now he's obviously living in Saudi Arabia. I think that's the flag is representing.
Yeah, Abu Dhabi. And
no, Kadyrov. Yeah, so he is Dagestani. I'm 90% sure. Sorry,
yeah, I think
Chechen.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Anyway, one of those sorts of areas. But he's not like a legendary Chechen Sambo guy. He's very good grappling. And I'm not even sure if he identifies with the whole Sambo thing, to be honest. I think it's more like wrestling and stuff like that, but wasn't an Olympic prospect or anything like that. Whereas Bo Nickel is literally one of the best collegiate wrestlers of all time.
Yeah, crazy.
So he just for sure, like, and you never know till they're in there, but even just reputationally, Bo Nickel's a way better grappler.
Wow. So you'd give it to Bo Nickel?
Hell yeah. And he's also, look, he's no slouch on the feet either. He's knocked a few dudes out.
Wow. Good on him.
Yeah.
It'd just be interesting to see what kind of shit comes up. We'll try to talk to Bo Nickel because I just think most people I've seen going against Kamzat look nervous. I think Kamzat has a phenomenal mentality towards fighting. Like, it's good to see prospects who like just look like they love fighting. And I believe that about Kamzat. He just seems like he is about that life. But I think Bo Nickel is one of the few people you could put in the octagon with him where he'd be like, I am excited for that first grappling exchange. I can't identify anyone else in the roster who would be like, oh, I can't wait until I'm in a grappling exchange with Kamzat. Whereas Bo Nickel would be steering into that.
He'd be dead
Might
first.
be the first time you see Kamzat, like, let's strike. Let's fucking strike.
Yeah, wow. And that's always cool to see. I wish something like that happened with Khabib.
He never went up against anyone where we're like, oh my God, this guy is a fucking like just American hero wrestler. It would have been interesting, but like, look, Khabib, credit to him, went up against like really good wrestlers.
Yeah, like that's the same thing as well. Like seeing like the whole thing with Khabib, like you watch him for so long and be like, oh no, there's people 10 times better than him. You're like, fuck, what? It just shatters your worldview a bit. But it's kind of crazy seeing all these people coming through this backdoor of wrestling into the UFC. It's quite cool. Like I always have this conversation saying, if you were to get someone fresh, what styles would you teach them first to get him into the UFC? Yeah, wrestling. Everyone says wrestling.
Yeah.
Everyone says wrestling.
And for sure, like people have made comments about like, oh, people who grow up striking, like they just have this feel for the timing and, you know, there's just certain things that you can't make up for. But I would say that the transition to learning striking, just when you have that base of wrestling, like I've seen so many wrestlers become great strikers. We have seen not many, like GSP is the great example of someone who wasn't a wrestler growing up, was just into karate and a lot of the striking sort of martial arts, but then he picked up wrestling, became one of the best MMA wrestlers in the history of the sport. But again, it was always that integrated approach where he was dealing with the striking and the MMA distance as well. Whereas, Bo Nickel just... why it's good is because if you can wrestle, you can decide where the fight takes place. And it doesn't matter if you're better at wrestling or better at striking, just by being able to influence that more than the other person, it's a very valuable skill set.
So like where the direction of the fight. I mean, I think a good example is Ben Askren and seeing his striking. It's like, fuck, his wrestling him took him that far.
But then here's the downside to striking being your base. Every fight starts standing. So there's always just this fly walk. You got to do it like, got him. Now I'm good. Like,
just try to dodge that first flying knee.
Like being Ben Askren is so spicy because he was so bad. Like I think
terrible.
I was about to say like I probably strike like Ben Askren, but I don't want to go out there. Like Ben Askren would probably feed me in a striking match. But
I can't believe he boxed. He actually thought he was going to do well in boxing.
Yeah, that was fucking heavy.
Fucking hell, he got slept.
I think he's got a decent sense of humor. I think he was sort of like, this would be funny.
Yeah, I think he also got offered probably so much money for it.
Oh, fuck
Like, fuck it. What's the worst that can happen? Like,
I'm pretty sure Ben Askren was like rich off crypto though.
I think he's fine anyway. Like he runs like fucking like he's got like a big academy. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, with kids, like
he's
training
got like a
kids.
big school, maybe multiple.
Yeah, he was actually in Australia recently.
Oh right,
like last week.
We should have had him on the pod.
I don't think he came to Wollongong.
I mean, we do this pod every week with like a dude in Melbourne. I don't know why I said that. Like he has to be in the country.
That's what I
yeah, okay, let's move on.
He has been on Just Fly Sports.
Oh, fuck.
What?
We'll get him on. I'll send.
What the fuck?
Yeah, reach out to him.
Okay, Blanchfield versus Fjord. These are not for 300. We're moved off the 300 ones, and we're just on a few other announcements that got made. All right, you're calling Blanchfield?
Yeah, just huge prospect.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sick. Rodriguez versus Ortega 2.
Oh, so keen for this. So keen for this.
So is it really about that one, the grappler and the wrestler? Oh no, the wrestler and the striker sort of thing?
Wait, with Rodriguez versus Ortega.
Yeah, isn't Ortega
crazy grappler, like elite grappler. Yair, amazing grappler as well. Like,
oh, really?
Quite
he has
underrated
ground.
submission threat. He submitted Ortega. Well, see, people want to pretend that Ortega's shoulder just fell out of its socket. Ortega dislocated his arm as he was trying to just goon his way out of an armbar. Like, he didn't take Yair's grappling threat seriously enough, had a fully sunk in armbar, and I think he had a moment of like, this can't be happening. I'll simply yank my arm out. It was in so deep, he separated his glenohumeral joint. And then people are like, oh, Ortega got injured. We'll never know who won that. It's like, no, he got submitted by Yair. Having said that, going into it with a bit of hindsight, like, oh, I need to mind my manners a little bit more in these grappling exchanges.
I thought Yair was just a karate guy.
No, so Yair, obviously elite striking, especially in the kicks. And I think he kicks the shit out of Ortega for a good couple of rounds.
Wow.
Yeah, because Ortega has a crazy chin and a really good gas tank.
Because you know what did it for me? I know I have such a limited view of this guy, but when Volk sort of did that like 1-2 to the body, grabbed him, threw him down, which was the most aggressive thing you'll ever see, I thought that was just the fact that he had no ground game, and I didn't know he actually got him hurt.
That's just
that bad.
Volk being a sick cunt.
Yeah.
It's just levels, man. It's just levels. Yeah.
Okay, so sorry, who are you picking for?
I'm picking Yair.
Yair.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm gonna pick Ortega purely because I like him, and I don't know why I like him.
I like him too.
Yeah. Also, I tell you what, that Rodriguez versus Ortega, that is at UFC Mexico, which I think
it's in the Sphere
fight night.
In the Sphere.
I'm pretty sure that's in the Sphere, Harvey.
What's the Sphere?
What?
The Las Vegas Sphere, when they have who performed there?
You don't know about the Sphere?
I don't think so.
So in Vegas, they've just had this new venue open up. It's a giant sphere, and the whole thing's an LED screen on the inside and on the outside. So they've had some huge artists. I think, is U2 doing like a residency there or something like that? The visuals from this concert are so immersive. It's the Sphere's already on my bucket list. I need to go see an artist that I don't completely hate there. But it's at the point where it's like, I will buy a ticket for anything palatable. I think that'd be like quite.
Imagine watching Interstellar in that thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Either way, I think you're incorrect because it seems to be live from CDMX in Mexico City.
Oh, fair enough. Okay.
Wait, how would that
that's
work in the
Mexican
Sphere?
Independence Day. So, okay, so this is the thing. So Dana White has been hyping up this Sphere show, which is happening Mexican Independence Day, which isn't the date that Harvey just described. What's the date of Ortega versus Rodriguez?
24th of February.
All right, so it is just a fight night. I don't know where that is, but yeah, I'm kind of curious as to how the UFC would use the Sphere like really well. Like, are they just gonna have like really big scoreboards, or like they don't want to have like hectic visuals to distract the fighters? Or maybe they do. Do we want to have like Volkanovski versus Islam on a snowy mountain peak or something like that? I'm very curious as to how it's employed. Or is Dana White just really excited about having high definition Bud Light ads?
Oh, the ads would be insane there. But the thing is, what I'm thinking more is, what would it have been useful? Would it have been COVID and you have all the fans across the fucking Sphere, all in their little Zoom meetings? But yeah, I actually don't know.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of heads. Yeah, that would be.
No, but I don't know what they would do. Probably just make it real scenic and aesthetic.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's like, it doesn't even look like they're fighting there. I don't know.
I think it seems to me, I don't really know, but I feel like UFC are trying to level up their fight nights a bit, because between that last crazy one we had and this one, like, that's the co-main. The main event is Brandon Moreno versus Amir Albazi.
For the belt? No, that's not for the belt, is it?
No, just a flyweight fight. But like, in a way, I think it's kind of cool that they're trying to. Well, it seems like that's what they're doing anyway.
Historically, the years have always started out pretty strong.
Yeah, I more just mean like the fight nights in general. And remember that crazy fight night they had not long ago. That we covered it on here because you hadn't realized there was a crazy fight night going on.
Sorry,
yeah.
Okay. Can I clarify? What is is it just like the filler sort of?
Yeah, it's something that's like not. Usually doesn't have a title fight on it. I think generally speaking,
it's just to keep the divisions moving.
Yeah,
and is it like just one place consistently, or is it just moves around?
A lot of them are at the apex, but then whenever they sort of have a card with a lot of fighters from a certain part of the world, they'll typically have it. Oh, sorry, the bookings probably get made in the location, and then they sort of seek out a roster of fighters that's to the locals' taste as much as possible, and then maybe throw like, say, there's no high-profile fighters from that region who are available, then they'll bring in one or two high-profile fights just to cap it off.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
we got one more. No, this was announced very recently, but Michael Venom Page is fighting Kevin Holland at, I believe, UFC 299.
Well, I'm not that high on this acquisition.
Really?
Yeah, it's just a distraction from like meaningful fights. He's never going to be a title contender. He's getting older. It's going to be a great fight to see him versus Kevin Holland. I have no idea who's going to win. And he is good. Like he's got a reputation as a can crusher that he kind of embraced in Bellator.
What an entertaining fighter. Wow. Well, didn't he used to do like a kickboxing where it was just all score based, and that's why he's so in and out sort of thing?
Point karate or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I was only really familiar with him through his Bellator arc, but I think I'm picking Kevin Holland.
Do you think he's going to be like a Michael Chandler type? In that, like, comes over from Bellator and kind of just fucking goes hard in the paint every time.
What division is this, by the way?
Welterweight. Yeah?
I think so.
It is welterweight. Harvey, to answer your question, MVP has shown the opposite tendencies. So all of his excitement comes from the highlight reel finishes, but he doesn't necessarily go into the fight with the obligation to make all of it exciting. He's had numerous fights where he's really played it safe, and then the other guys just dropped it for a little bit, and he's just finished him in spectacular fashion. But he's had a few very boring fights. Yeah, where he's just he doesn't entertain a lot of risk. I'm not saying that he's not capable of change or anything like that. I think Kevin Holland presents enough challenges for him that it could put him into his shell a little bit. But then obviously he's aware of the reputation that precedes him, and like you'd think he'd try to do something in his first fight, but yeah, he's not getting many cans to crush in the UFC.
Yeah.
And Dana White loves, as much as, yeah, it sounds logical, like you acquire a fighter, you turn him into a champion, it's job well done. Dana White doesn't mind that. You know what he really loves? Taking a top tier regarded fighter from another organization and showing them showing the world how shit they go in the UFC. He loves that. So,
he's banking on that to happen. Okay.
Most of the time, like, and when I think about the potential for MVP to hold a belt in the UFC, and just his fighting track record and where he's at in his career, I understand why Harvey did want to compare it to Chandler, but yeah, I just think it's too different in terms of who they are as fighters.
Yeah, totally. Okay, cool.
Did he get KO'd MVP or is he undefeated?
Douglas Lima knocked him out like really hectically. He like leg kicked him, and then as his feet were sliding out, he put one right on his jaw. It was a very brutal knockout.
Okay, so you're picking Kevin Holland.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take Michael Venom Page.
What are the odds?
I
don't think they'd be out, will they?
Nah, there'd be something, right?
I can have a look.
I think it only got announced like 12 days ago or something. I'm taking MVP on the grounds that I just think that's just too cool a name to not back. Like imagine,
I like it.
Imagine Venom being in your fucking name, but also there's the fact that like
it's not his real name. Like that's his fighter name.
No, I know, but it's just so cool.
What about Chris Speed?
What about Chris Speed?
That's a pretty cool last name. I thought that was made up. I thought it was just part of his Instagram.
It's not a competition. I'm not like who's got the coolest name in the world. I'm just saying you're asking me to pick these two guys, and I don't something about Kevin Holland. I don't know. I don't trust him. And
we got odds for 300.
I just find it difficult. Michael Venom Page sounds like a fucking movie star.
When he's British as well.
Yeah, that too.
It's like the whole UK thing. How do you identify as? Do you identify with Great Britain whatsoever?
Like technically, on the grounds that I'm technically from there.
Yeah. No, that's what I meant. That was the answer I was looking.
Do you rep their set? Yeah.
But like I'm very much see myself as. What this is a weird question because like I always like I guess I'm Scottish, but like I've lived in Australia for like 20 years. So
No, but more in the sense of like the stereotype of Scots hating England.
oh yeah, I can't stand them.
Yeah.
No, that's not true. I actually have nothing against like English people as a whole. Like I've got some fucking amazing friends from England, and like it's not a case of you're English, I don't like you. It doesn't mean you're automatically a good or bad person if you're from there. But like, I definitely support whoever is playing England in football.
Did you
And
cry when the Queen died?
Did I fuck? No.
Say no more.
Say no more.
Did we get those odds, Jacob?
Yeah, I got them for a lot. So, oh, not for MVP, but we got for other ones if you're interested.
I was really curious to see what that. Oh, go on. Anyway, give us the.
So we got still. I'll quickly get the runner. Sterling versus Carter. We got quite the even. $1.85 and $1.95.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. Yuri and Rakic. Yuri is not the favorite. We got Rakic at $1.80 and Yuri at $2.
Why? That I can't work that out. Don't get me wrong. I think Rakic absolutely has a chance, but I'm like, what is that based off?
Yeah. $2.99. Vera versus O'Malley. O'Malley $1.46 to Vera $2.60.
Did Yuri?
I didn't think he'd be favored by that much.
Did Yuri just come back from injury, or did I make that up?
Yeah, huge shoulder injury, but he came back and like looked good against Pereira. I mean, he lost, but he looked good.
We got Whitaker and Costa markets too.
Rakic had a catastrophic knee injury that he's just sort of come off as well. So it's interesting in that regard.
Okay.
I have odds for Kevin Holland versus Michael Venom Page.
Oh yeah.
It's from Best Fight Odds. So I don't know what that is as a source, but it'll
do for now.
It's got Kevin Holland as a slight favorite. So it's minus 138 to plus 105.
Oh, I don't know how to read those.
So that is quite close to my understanding. It's essentially a pick 'em.
Right.
Yeah, so we got Whitaker and Costa. Costa at $2.75 and Whitaker $1.43.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll sleep tonight. I'm still worried.
What else do we have? Oh, Volk and Tapuria. Volk $1.50, Tapuria $2.48. And then to round it off, just the main ones from 297, which is Strickland Duplessis. Strickland at $1.72 and Duplessis at $2.10.
Guys, don't forget we have a speak pipe if you want to hear your own voice on the show. We love questions. Other than that, we'll catch you guys next time. Thank you very much for tuning in.